You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Heavy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Well, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to RBLR Lightning. We're working on a slightly different platform here, so things changed a little bit. I couldn't actually tell when we went live on that, and it's always neat learning some new software. But hey, thanks for joining us today. If you are new to our podcast, be sure to join in on the comments. We have a show where we got a lot to get to in this one, recapping the last 3 games and talking about what we have coming up. Since I haven't introduced myself yet, I'm Joe Zamataro. I'm filling in. Usually we have the Rickster that help us out, and Jake's once again busy on assignment. Instead, I'll be taking over the show, and Matt Gannon with me. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Hopefully, I'm not upside down for you anymore, Joe. That's part of the quirks we're still working out. Am I still upside down?
Bro, you're upside down.
Okay.
Like I said, there's a couple of things to figure out with the software, like exactly when it ended up going live. And on my screen, Matt looks like a bat.
Well, hopefully you can keep your composure during the show. Hopefully I don't do anything that exacerbates the already upside down situation. But it's going to be an interesting show to talk about. It's not all doom and gloom, but like Lisa already said here, bloody hell, what a week. It sure has been.
Yeah, it's been filled with quite a few ups, quite a few downs. Some guys rejoining the team after being injured. Other guys playing like they're still injured. I mean, we might as well just get right into it, right? Just start with what I would consider a pretty much a disaster that was the Columbus Blue Jackets game. The Lightning dropped that one a score of 5-2, being outshot 32-18, and letting in 2 out of 4 of the power play opportunities for Columbus. It looked like it was, just kind of more of the same from what we had in the previous weeks, and really a kind of a regression. What do you think?
It was a rough game all around. One of the rougher games we've seen in a while, which, is really saying something too, considering there's been some stinkers post-Olympics. For whatever reason, Columbus has had our number, maybe not in recent years, but, we all still share some trauma from 2019. But this season, man, they have just had our number. I think it was a 6-2 loss a couple months ago, and now a 5-2 loss, and arguably a worse game overall. And yeah, just the shots were never looking too good, and that's just your basic counting stat right there, but it can kind of describe the whole game. Columbus, they're playing white hot right now, and the Lightning just don't really have a way to deal with these fast off the rush kind of teams. Like they're just really they're not good at like one specific thing, but they're just pretty decent at a whole bunch of things. And one of those things is, flying off the rush and just speed attacks, everything like that, taking shots from anywhere and everywhere. There are a lot of self screens and other, and defensive screens that really got on net. And it was just a stinker of a game, which sucks because you took the lead, not early in the game, but you got the lead first. And then just everything kind of went haywire from there.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good summary of how that one ended up. I mean, because you thought with Gage coming back, he ended up having a goal, relatively early in the game, and it was an assist from Hedman, which was great to see. Of course, Kucherov was in on it, and then things started to, I don't know, just turn. The Lightning only had 4 shots in that entire period, and it's not like they're up against what I would consider like elite goaltending for the Lightning. They just didn't put themselves into a position to score very often. And the fact for for Columbus too, all their goals, all their offense came from all over the place. I mean, Fantilli wasn't, had an assist, but he was not even one of the people that contributed a goal in this game. And, you got two defensemen scoring goals. Garland got, netted two as well, but it was coming from everywhere.
Yeah, and you're continuing the theme of special team struggles as well. What was it? They let up was it like 5 power play goals or 4 power play goals and a shorthanded goal against Buffalo the week before? The power play just isn't clicking as it should be. And now, that was kind of how the thing started early in the season, but you could rely on your penalty kill. Now you can't really rely on either. So things are just going from bad to worse in the special teams category. At least they didn't let up a shorty. But yeah, Connor Garland, he definitely had his way with his team. Zach Werenski, also fantastic player. Really love that guy. He was on fire tonight as well. I think he had a couple of assists. Obviously, he's the main man on that power play. I think he leads the team in scoring. You're a good defenseman when you lead your team in scoring, even a pretty good team in Columbus. Again, they're playing on fire right now with the new hire of Rick Bowness. I think they only have like 2-3 regulation losses in like the last 2 months or something whenever he got hired. So good for them. But yeah, it's a team that they just have no idea how to cope with.
Well, I mean, they might be, on fire. I feel like the Lightning are kind of playing with fire right now, getting these series of games where, they're hot, they're not. It is starting to be something to be concerned with as, the playoff picture and the points race starts to change here. So dropping this one to Columbus doesn't directly kill the Lightning, but it's one of those, okay, we need to start, waking up, get a signal for the Lightning, because they were not, I feel like they weren't even in this game, much at all. We'll talk about the other ones where they maybe have started to improve throughout the week, but hopefully this was, a little bit of a wake up call when it comes from an effort standpoint to them.
Mm-hmm. And it sucks that it was at home as well, too. Like, if you're going to stink on the road, and of course you drop a pretty rough one at home. And it seemed to, kind of wake them up, at least for one game. I'm not sure if you want to transition just yet, but
we might as well. And, the fact of the matter, too, is that I'd say the Cougar one came up short. I kind of missed the tail end of that.
Thank God I was drunk for that one.
Oh, well, sometimes you have to be in order to get through the pain and misery. What did you have that just then? It looked like it was about to pour out upside down as
I've got a nice martini here.
Okay. All right. Well, since tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, I went with something a little darker.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Get a little Guinness in you. Yeah, the problem with I think with this game too is that it was the first of a homestand of 3 games after they had been on the road for a couple of weeks. You come home and you kind of have a stinker like that one. It doesn't really help build too much momentum for you, and it's awful for the fans. So definitely can relate to you there, Lisa. Where that's a hard one to swallow. But the Lightning played again just a couple of days later, as we discussed before. Pretty much their entire schedule through this month is Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday games, and then from here out we've got an additional bonus Sunday game as well. So the Lightning played the Detroit Red Wings on Thursday. They did turn things around for this game, winning a final of 4-1. Go Bolts. Shots were 25-29 Lightning, and only one power play attempt for each team, and the Lightning were able to capitalize on theirs.
Continuing my streak of mostly winning every time I'm in attendance, I was lucky enough to be at this game. And, objectively, I think this is the best game they've had since the Olympic break. I mean, I know they got 2 wins against Toronto, but they are bottom dwellers right now. And, you can also make the argument, too, that it's the Detroit Red Wings in the month of March. That's one of the worst teams of all time, any given year, over the last 10 years. So you can make that argument. But even still, they're not an easy out.
No, they're not. And I mean, for right now, they're really fighting for their lives for the final wild card spot, trying to make it. So they're a team that's got some motivation behind them.
Mm-hmm. And, it's a team, despite as big of a lead as you did create in, December, January, parts of February, you're still you're second in the division now. You're not too far separated from Detroit or Boston or whoever else in the Atlantic. Even, the Ottawas in Florida and Toronto are too far out of it. But it's still an important game for the Lightning, too. You got to maintain where you are in the standings as well. So they definitely showed up to play. And it was even guys that I was kind of surprised by had really good games. One of those being, we can have this conversation a different day or even later today, but Victor Hedman, who I was pleasantly surprised with how well he was playing in this game. It looked like he was doing a lot of good in this game. And JJ Moser, he was flying up and down the ice as well, but you expect that from him. Just a really good game all around. It wasn't perfect. There was still a lot of odd man rushes, 2-on-1s, but it did look like Detroit wasn't as dialed in as they really should have been, considering their outlook on the playoffs right now. I do think the Lightning did a really good job of, playing to their strengths and hemming them in. There was a couple or one really rough shift. I think it was in the second period where they just could not get out of the zone. That was the Lightning. I'm not sure if it was
wasn't it like almost at the end of the period. I think the shift length for that one, I can't remember. Do you remember who was on the ice? But I remember it was the number.
I know Radish was probably out there the longest because he was on the opposite side of the bench, and it was the long change. Or opposite
it's like
side
2
of the
minutes
ice.
and 40 seconds.
Something crazy.
Something like that, which, I mean, if you haven't played before, especially when you're locked into your own defensive zone, imagine just do jumping squats. I challenge every single person here to do jumping squats and just keep jumping up and down for 40 seconds. And you'll see why these shifts get to be so short with these guys. Do it
that's
for
what
2
I
minutes
was
and 40 seconds straight. Oh.
That's what I was saying last week or 2 weeks ago. Like I started playing, a little bit of roller hockey. I'm like, gee, dude, I give these guys so much credit to be going balls to the wall for, 30, 40 seconds, whatever it is. I'm just gliding around a little bit, just kind of get my feet underneath me for a couple minutes and I'm gassed. I'm like, how do they do that? Like, it makes sense why the shifts are so short. It really put it into perspective.
And then, you'll hear it on the broadcast quite a bit where a guy will have maybe an opportunity for a breakaway, and then he just won't have the speed to be able to get any sort of distance on that defenseman. And then they'll say, well, it was at the end of his shift. Your legs just fill with blood, and they just feel like you're wearing concrete shoes. So 2 minutes and 40 seconds, that was a horrible shift. I want to say that was actually, I think that Corey Perry was out there too.
Yeah.
I think they're about 1:40. Oh, actually, Beverly has a comment here. If you don't mind pulling that up. 4 minutes for Radish and Mac right behind him.
Wow.
Oh my God. You're dying at that point. You're just praying for a stoppage of some sort. I mean, almost to the point of wanting to take a penalty by flicking it out of the zone if you could even touch it. But they're doing a really good job cycling for it. It's gutsy to stay in that long.
Even with like Corey Perry getting hemmed out there, you're already a guy that's not very fast at all. And then you get out there for a couple minutes, minute 30, minute 40, 2 minutes, whatever it might be. He is extra slow. I remember it got an ovation. I think they iced it once or twice in that little collapse right there. And once they finally lifted it out, they just perfectly placed it. It goes right down to the offensive zone circles, just perfectly weighted. It got a huge cheer in the building that the guys could get off. I thought that was kind of funny that people were cheering that they could finally change. And I think the only one that couldn't get off was Darren Radish. I was feeling really bad for him. But enough about that one specific part of the game. You got to give a lot of credit here to Vasilevsky as well, because the game wasn't perfect. The defense wasn't perfect. Again, there were odd man rushes and some great opportunities from Patrick Kane. The Wings didn't have Dylan Larkin this game. They won't for the next 2 weeks or so. But even still, Lucas Raymond and some of their other good guys really tried their best to get one past Vasilevsky. I can't remember. It was JT Comfer got a perfect tip past Vasilevsky, and it's not even really on him. Nobody stopping that goal. But other than that, he was dialed in this game. He really deserved a shutout. I thought he was the best player in this game. Maybe you can argue Jake Gensel, but yeah, he was fantastic in this game as well. And he's been a little shaky, on his own too. So it was good to see him rebound at least for one game.
Came in with left with a 0.96 save percentage, which again, for anyone watching, anything basically over a a 0.9 is what you'd consider average. And once you get to like 0.95, that's, 1 out of 20 shots are going in. That's doing really well. So to even be higher than that, he had an outstanding game for sure from his side of things. I also do want to, bring up that I thought that a few other players, stood out to me a little bit, because this was one of the games where it was before we had Chernak come back. We had Carlisle out there on defense. He's a guy that he played the game before, and he's starting to get a little bit more opportunities when our D-men go down. I didn't think he looked, too horribly bad. He looked like he wasn't fully up to speed, in my opinion. Like he definitely needs some more time, but having somebody that you can fill in there without completely getting worked, like in the Columbus game, the 5-2 game, he ended up having 20 minutes of ice time, which is a lot of ice time. And his plus minus was even. Same thing for the Detroit Red Wings game. His plus minus was even in that one too.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've liked him, on the team. He's had a couple of bad games. You're going to expect that. But in this game, I did notice he was out there a good bit. And things kind of get a little skewed too when you're in attendance. You can't really notice as much, or you notice a little bit more. But I did notice him, a little bit of everywhere. I think he got hurt in this game too, which is a bit of a bummer. I think he's out for a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's actually something I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, I don't think he played in the Carolina game. I'm pretty sure it was like late in the game, like sometime in the third, he blocked a shot or something. I can't quite remember, but I remember seeing that he's out for a little bit.
All right, yeah, I think he was playing with Dastu on that line, and the two of them being basically the bottom pairing. I guess that makes a little bit of sense because he's registered as 13 minutes in this game against the Red Wings, and everyone else was around 20. So if he left early, that's unfortunate. Might as well push on through, get to this Carolina Hurricanes game, because while, let's see, I'll go to the comment with Beverly. Maybe Paul back in the locker room can bring some fun back. Seems injuries are just bringing everyone down. I think it's more. Yeah, I mean, injuries are. It's a really good point that has been shaking up our lineups. But at the same rate, I wonder if some of these guys aren't fully healed. You gave some props. You gave some props to Hedman for was it the Blue Jackets game, or was it in this one?
It was this Detroit game.
Yeah,
those props are quickly going away.
Yeah, let's shift over to the Hurricanes game, and then we'll talk more about him. In this game, we saw the return of Eric Chernak. It was one that the Lightning fought to get back in, but had a horrible start, allowing the Carolina Hurricanes to score twice in the first 2.5 minutes, the final score being 4-2. And again, looking at power plays, 2 for the Hurricanes, 2 for the Lightning, but the defensive side, the penalty kill, was perfect for both teams.
And it was also the return of Nick Paul in this game as well. Much needed face-off guy. He's always pretty good, but obviously, it's his first game back since February 1st, so a month and a half or so. It'll take you a little bit to get back into game shape. We were talking about that last week as well, but yeah, it seems like objectively, the theme of the year for Carolina and the Lightning is let them go up a couple goals in the first period and then claw your way back, whether it be in a win or a loss. 2 losses and one
that's
good
a
comeback
hard
victory.
Team to come back from, because just the way that they play, they're such an aggressive puck possession team that when they start getting on you, you don't have time, you don't have space to do too much.
Oh, yeah, they were clogging it up, too. And even with their mediocre penalty kill, I thought they were clamping us on the power play as well. You had your opportunities. Again, the power play hasn't been perfect this year, but it seemed like they were doing a good job of clamping up on them. But I got to give a huge credit to Freddie Anderson, the goaltender. I thought he did a great job of also just shutting down the Lightning, and Sean Walker in his goaltending performance as well. If he didn't have that block where Freddie was diving over, the game would have been, I think they would have put them up at the time. It could be a completely different game then. And it's no point saying, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I don't think that they played their best this game. Obviously, if you go down 2-0 in the first 2.5 minutes, it's hard to play from behind the whole game. Of course, it seems like they like to do that against Carolina, but there's just no way to operate at all.
Yeah, and Carolina's, like I said, they're such an aggressive team, especially on the forecheck. Getting out of your own end with any sort of numbers is so incredibly difficult. In fact, I mean, the Lightning didn't have very much success on even the power play opportunities that they had to enter the zone with possession. In this game, they're so aggressive on that puck carrier that they kind of force you into a little bit of an error. And if it's not a completely perfect pass, then that rush is done. Actually, thinking about it, not even being able to get established because they're so aggressive. The first goal that the Lightning had was Yanni Gourde breakaway goal. He got the partial breakaway, fired off a shot, and that's what put the Lightning on the board there in the second period, making it 2-1. I mean, it did help give the Lightning some life, but ultimately the Lightning have to find an answer to how to play against this team if they're going to try to go deep in the playoffs.
Well, a lot of people would argue, they have to find an answer to play against, to quit playing against themselves. I mean, people were pissed with Victor Hedman this game. All the good grace that he earned in that Detroit game had quickly gone away. I'm not sure your opinion. I always do appreciate your opinion on like actual in-game stuff, but the own screen for that game-winning goal, that 3-2 goal, a lot of people were upset with him there. He did have a couple of giveaways and bobbles, stupid passes.
Okay, hold on. But let's break it down one at a time.
Please.
If you're upset with Hedman there, you don't understand hockey too much, to be fair. You need to watch a little bit more hockey. That's a really low percentage shot that most players won't do. I know that Carolina Hurricanes just shoot. That's like their MO, even from any angle, any spot. But it's just one of those breaks that if Hedman was a quarter of a stride further ahead, then it wouldn't have hit him. It did hit him. And it went in, hit him right in the butt, and then right off the post and in. If he's a quarter of a stride, that doesn't happen. If he's a quarter of a stride further back, it doesn't happen. And it did screen Vasi. It's just one of those seeing eye pucks. Like we've seen quite a few this past week. So I'm all game for holding players responsible, but when it's something fluky like that, unless it's there's an absolute pattern where he's constantly screening Vasi, but they've got a really good working relationship in a way that he makes sure that he can see the shots that he's supposed to see. That's not a recurring thing. It's just really unfortunate.
This is the angriest I've seen people at Hedman maybe ever. After that game, you go on the final score comment on Instagram, and it's cut Hedman, get rid of him, trade him, do anything with him. And people were upset. I'm not sure if it's just isolated at that one incident that people are misunderstanding. Because, again, that is a total accident. Every own goal is a complete accident, even if it does bounce off your butt. Complete accident. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people also complaining about screening Vasi or screening Johansson, something like that. Like our players doing that, not the opponent.
So for reference, the Lightning have 14 blocked shots in this game. That means that for 14 of the shots that the Carolina Hurricanes took, they were in between Vasi and the puck.
Fair enough.
That's how you block shots. You get in front of the shot. And in a sense, you're screening. The important thing is when you're doing it, you are blocking the shot and you're not leaving holes so he can see around. To say that you shouldn't screen the goalie means that you shouldn't block any shots, and that's a ridiculous thing too.
Dan Girardi would be upset.
I mean, you talking about the fans too, that I feel like right now we've got a lot of spoiled fair weather fans in a sense that need to have a scapegoat.
I'm one of them.
It's okay to be spoiled and to expect more for your team, but to require a scapegoat without fully analyzing the reason why things are starting to break down, just to have a villain so you can point the finger and say, this is our problem. Yeah, as Lisa said, oh my God, they want his head on a platter. If you are upset over like a 1-game performance, then it's really not fair to the players, and it's a hard thing to to learn about the game with. Can you pull that one up again, Eureka? Always have someone to blame. Hetty is captain, so people are going to blame him. I think Hetty's playing horribly right now. I think Hedman is a third line pairing. I don't want his head on a platter, but at the same rate, he's not playing to the standard that we've been used to since he was basically drafted by this team. And maybe he's come down to an injury or like a culmination of several injuries where he's lost a step, especially with his lateral explosiveness. But that's not the reason why the Lightning lost this game.
No, he's not the sole reason, but for this season, arguably the last two, he has lost a step entirely. Like, I think it's not people just wanting his head on a platter for this one specific game. I think people are starting to get really frustrated with his game overall. You can call him a scapegoat, but I don't think you turn on the greatest defenseman in this franchise's history, a Conn Smythe, a Norris winner. You could put him in there for Hart votes if you really wanted in certain years, to all of a sudden turn on him and say he's terrible. Like, it's not just a big conspiracy hive mind thing. Like, he has been playing pretty darn awful. And it's not just this game. It's not that one incident where it goes off his butt into the net for the game-winning goal.
Yeah, which is fine for him to play horrible. But you acknowledge that. You don't all of a sudden say he cost us a game because a weird shot ricocheted in and then start getting all pissy about it from that.
But I think most of our fans are, a lot of our fans are rational enough to not hold that one specific play against him. And like, it was visceral in the comments on this post, on every single media post about this game. So he must have done other things in this game that I can't quite pick out so far. I mean, he didn't even have the most egregious turnover in this game. That'd be Kucherov, but at least he does enough to make up for it. He does triple the amount to make up for his stupid turnovers. So I guess Hetty just isn't doing enough to get back into good graces with the fans, because he is having a terrible year, at least offensively and defensively. Like, he's just having a truly god-awful year.
I mean, I hope at least the people that watch this show before they would go into the comment section and start tearing them apart for one game, they'd be able to be more analytical and understand. I feel like the people that comment in here have a pretty good grasp of the sport, which is one of the reasons I really love the comment section. Love what you guys put in there. For a lot more interesting conversations. Also from Beverly, a lot of our young guys who brought so much energy to the room are out for the season now. Maybe we need some Syracuse guys up again, not Geeky.
Yeah, should we talk about Geeky?
Geeky was sent back down. Should have probably put that in the news. Part of that was also that we had Nick Paul coming back, and that spot is Nick Paul's forever, obviously, or for his contract. So, yeah, let's talk Geeky. I'll let you go first, man.
I was disappointed. Outside the Buffalo game, kind of a floater. Again, we spoke on it a little bit last week. Maybe he's just not a winger. Maybe it's the people he's playing with. But I was unimpressed with this small sample size of what he did get to play. He didn't get to play the Carolina game. He was down for that, but I don't think he was in the Detroit game either. I think Scott Sabourin was in for him that game. He wasn't quite sent down yet, but pretty unimpressed with him. Like, I know he had a really good assist in that Buffalo game and played pretty good in the Winnipeg game as well. But other than that, again, it's just kind of the same thing we've been dealing with from the start of last season, where, you get a flash here and then he just kind of vanishes for the rest of the game. I'm not saying he's a cardio merchant or anything, but still just a little bobbly, still a little wobbly, and just not a whole lot of positives that you can really justify keeping him in the lineup over somebody else, even a guy like Scott Sabourin, who I enjoy watching.
So let me talk about Sabourin just for a moment. He, to me, is an absolute professional when it comes to playing hockey in a way that I don't think I've ever said about a player before. He always looks like he's got a job to do when he's out there. He's going to forecheck really hard. He doesn't have silky mitts where he can dangle somebody and score, but that he's going to try his best to make a play. He's steady. He's not super fast. He'll defend all of his teammates, putting his body on the line for it. He's the only word I can think of that that describes him well is professional. He's a real professional hockey player, not a superstar. Geeky does not have almost any of those qualities, except for the fact that he does have some speed and will forecheck hard. That was a brilliant turnover that he had in the Winnipeg game, I think it was.
It was the Buffalo game.
It was a Buffalo where he picked a pocket, made a pass. It was nasty. That was great. But if that's the highlight that we're talking about from him, it's just not enough. And I want to see more. I want to see more of this guy playing responsibly. I'm not surprised he, was basically sent down before Paul's back. Savern came in. He's not ready yet, and it's not an "I told you so." But man, I knew this guy's just he's taking the long route to get there.
And, it's not an uncommon thing for Lightning players to do that. Again, look how long Gage Gonsalves had to, take his time in the minors, and we'll get to him a little bit later. But I think he's playing great right now, and he's 24 years old. Like, he's not exactly a young guy. He's not exactly a prospect anymore. But, he did his time. Obviously doesn't have the draft pedigree that Connor Geeky does. And I think we even mentioned it last week, 2 weeks ago, about if he's anything like his brother, he's going to take some time in the pressure cooker.
I'd say, but there's some good genes there.
Absolutely. If you've got the patience, you can if you've got the patience, and he might turn out like Morgan Geeky, who's a 30, almost 40 goal scorer now.
Eureka, you pull up Lisa's last comment. Lisa, don't get you started on Sabby. What do you mean? I'd love to have you elaborate, and since we were talking about him, and share what you mean by that.
Yeah, well, she's getting that typed out. I mean, I can wax poetic about him. He became a hero immediately with the shenanigans in the preseason against the Florida Panthers. Doesn't know a single guy in the lineup. I might be exaggerating a bit, but doesn't know a single guy in the lineup. Has no connections with Brandon Hagel. Comes in and beats the brakes off Aaron Ekblad, who has been targeting Hagel for the last calendar year and is just immediate team guy. That's what he's been. He's an career AHLer. He doesn't have much time in the NHL, but career AHLer comes up and just beats the brakes off Ekblad, immediately wins over the fan base. And then he just carries that same swagger, energy, the forechecking. He might not be perfect. He's not, a silky mitts skill player kind of guy, but it does seem like a little bit of offense does follow him. That fourth line style of just crash and bang chaos offense does follow him. I like him on the ice. He's not good defensively, but
no. So Lisa's saying, I don't like him. Costs us a lot on penalties. Respectfully, I disagree. Only because, let's see, he's got, I'm pulling up his stats from this season. 18 games played, 80 penalty minutes, but those are fighting incidences that are. He's got a role to play, and if you don't like the penalties, you have to look at the coach. He's definitely on. Like I said about the professionalism side of him, he's given a role. He's given a responsibility, and he goes to execute it. So that's on Cooper. And so also one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't like Emil Lilleberg at the beginning of the season, because he took a lot of penalties. Now, some of them were really dumb penalties, but the only reason that people noticed the dumb penalties is that they were exacerbated by the fights and the retaliations, especially when someone would touch Kucherov. When I say a dumb penalty, I don't mean going and hitting a guy after a play that, someone slashed Kucher or hit him in a way that wasn't appreciated. I'm talking about, like a trip because he had a bad placement of a stick, a high stick because he missed lifting, a stick, or a holding penalty where it really wasn't necessary. Those sort of things that are accidents, if you will. If you intentionally go to take a guy out and you get called for it, you're probably being coached that if you see it happen over and over again. And that's right now, that's the Lightning. Look at what happened to Austin Matthews this week.
Ooh.
Austin Matthews got a knee by Radko Gudas and is out for the remainder of the season. You know what happened to Gudas after that? After a knee hit,
He got to walk right to the bench.
Skate off, yeah. Skated right past all the Maple Leafs players and moseyed his way on over to the bench. Oh, is a penalty going to go in the box? Yes, not a single person touched him. No one stood up for him. No one tried to fight anyone else. You're not going to get away with that playing against the Lightning, and that's a cultural thing coming from Coop.
You know who fought later in that game? Is their 20-year-old rookie, Easton Cowan, fought Jackson Lacombe like a couple shifts later. I forget how much longer away in the game, but it wasn't, in the aftermath of the incident. Nobody grabbed Gudas. A lot of the guys said, I didn't see it. They were looking right at it. It's it's weak, especially coached by a Craig Berube.
Doesn't matter if you see it or not. You see the guy skating away from your captain who's on the ice. You go say something.
Yeah, and then you leave that responsibility. I don't know if he took it upon himself or whatever, however it shook out, but your 20-year-old rookie had to be the guy that, dropped the mitts that game. That's a crazy thing. And he's not, a 20-year-old big, maybe power forward in the making. No, he's a little skill guy. Like he's not
Maybe there's hope for that organization after all then, because
no, there's not.
There probably isn't, but to have somebody young actually have some heart, give a damn. That's what you need sometimes. And we've got skilled players. I'm not saying that we always need to have fights, but you're going to think twice before you do something stupid against the Lightning, because you have to answer for it.
Yeah, that would not fly. Even it was I can't remember. I think it was last preseason. Somebody hit Victor Hedman. It was his first season as the captain, and I think it might have been Lilleberg, or no, it was Connor Geeky actually. He fought after somebody hit Hedman. It was a clean hit. Honestly, it was, but again, he didn't see it. He sees Victor on the ice, immediately goes and grabs. I can't remember who it was. A lot of people were upset with it. Again, it's a preseason game. Who really cares? But I loved seeing that gumption again from a rookie who took it, same shift that he was out there with, sees his captain on the ice, goes to the nearest guy, the guy who did it. No questions asked, drops the gloves. That's just the way that this team is wired. And it's not just the rookies. It's not just the Scott Sabrins or the Zemgus Girgensons who got in a fight in this Carolina game. But again, we talked about it. The Braden Points, he has not lost a fight. Brandon Hagel, he can chuck them. Your goalie, Vasilevsky, he doesn't take any crap either. He sees his team. He sees his team getting beat up on the other end of the ice. He said, "Hell no, I'm coming down there and I'm going to handle business."
I was going to say, if he was in net last week when JoJo was in net instead, who was that? It was the back-to-back. That must have been against Buffalo. The Buffalo game where
Luukkonen kind of came out, gave Hagel a couple shoves.
Yeah, I don't think Vasi, he's got a taste of blood, right? And you probably wouldn't have let that fly.
Even if that was all showmanship, you're on the biggest stage in the sport that day. Like it's, a one in a lifetime opportunity to fight in Raymond James Stadium. Who cares, man? Just drop the gloves, take the helmet off. Like it's so cool that, you're willing to stand up for your guys. Like going back to where this all started with, maybe the dumb, unnecessary fights with Lilleberg or Scott Sabarin. Don't care. I love it. I'm glad Jake's not here to be like, I don't like it. But
Jake doesn't like the fighting aspect of it. Let me not completely misspeak. He doesn't like the egregious stuff.
Yes.
Which I can definitely understand. But I'll tell you something, man. And as you play roller, I'm sure the more you play, you'll end up in an incident. Something will happen. You got guys flying around. You've got adrenaline. You've got that excitement, and bodies are going to collide. And especially when it feels like it's intentional, you'll get red hot.
Listen, I'm not playing games. I'm just going skating, shooting with some buddies.
It still happens. It still happens with that. Like like you're doing it on purpose. Maybe. But I got hit last night playing in a game. I didn't like it because it twisted my ankle just like the slightest amount. Wasn't a big deal, but I felt a tinge of pain. I shot up, like the guy was trying to take my head off. He wasn't. It was a stupid play. He got a penalty for it, but it wasn't like he was trying to kill him. But I shot up, pissed off. You know what would have been awesome is having a teammate come over and handle it for me. And with the Lightning, they always have somebody there to get your back. And when you go into the locker room, there's absolutely no question that the guy sitting next to you, the guy sitting on the other side, the one that's across from you, has your back night in and night out.
Even Jake Gensel getting his first career fight. Like this team just changes them. Again, he played, almost 10 years in Pittsburgh, and, his second season in Tampa gets into a fight. This was his own doing. This was, I'm going to stick up for myself, but still, it is just ingrained in the culture of this team to stick up for yourself and not be the instigator. You don't start it, but you will finish it. And that's what I love about this team.
Well, let's speaking of finish, talking about the Carolina Hurricanes game where obviously they didn't have enough. It was that unfortunate goal that went off of Hedman and in. It's a tough team. The Lightning got off to a really slow start, but there's they had passion in this game, which is something that I think that they're greatly lacking against Columbus. It's something that they did have against the Red Wings, and hopefully, like I said, it starts to become a wake-up call and they start to turn things around. Because, looking at the standings here, right now, Buffalo has 2 games, has played 2 more games than the Lightning and are 4 points ahead with 84 points. Or the Lightning have 84 points, but the Red Wings have 80 points. So to drop down to a wild card spot, Bruins have 80 points. It's completely possible if they, keep up this 3-7 over the last 10 record. So getting some good games out of the guys is something that's going to be really important coming up soon. Before wasn't a time to panic, I think, like last week. This week, I think you start to, make sure the guys have some urgency in the game.
Yeah, it's not panic time yet, but it's time for concern. It's time to, this is crunch time. There's 18 games left in the season? Maybe not even.
17.
You have to catch up with Buffalo. You have to maybe not catch up with Buffalo. Maybe you can let them win the division, but you cannot falter. There are Metro teams that are coming to take the wild card spots, and if you so happen to fall out again, Montreal's still playing pretty good. Detroit can get things back on track. Boston can get things back on track. Boston's actually playing pretty consistent. If you fall out, there's a chance that you might miss entirely. Those Metro teams are hungry, so every team is hungry right now. It is crunch time. You really do have to play your best. So I guess it's a good thing that they're kind of doing this with a little bit of time left in the season, not faltering right before playoffs. You've got no mojo going in. Hopefully they can get things back on track and keep some of that momentum with no more interruptions, no more Olympic breaks to really interrupt the season. Wow, this team really does struggle with long breaks. It's hilarious. But again, you're as consistent as the sun rising with these games. It's every other day, the occasional back-to-back, and then it's going to be the same way going in the playoffs. Find your groove, find your mojo, beat up on some weaker teams and, be head-to-head with some of the better teams. Get some wins, steal some wins against some of these better teams. You need to do it right now.
Well, another thing you need to do right now is go to shop.rblrsports.com and steal some new digs. Get yourself some Tampa Bay inspired merch, be it for the Lightning, the Bucks, the Rays, the Rowdies. Shop.rblrsports.com. Use promo code BOLTS for 10% off of everything. Help you look like an all-star. And for our 3 stars of the week, we have some kind of strange picks in a sense. Mind you, the Lightning only really had one solid game where they played well, but there's more to a game than just scoring goals. And to start that off, the number 3 star for the week coming in is going to be, see if Eureka has it up. There you go. Number 3 star, Ryan McDonough. And he had an interesting, few games here. He was one of the only defensemen to be a +2. He didn't have a single negative game in the span of these. He put a lot of time on the ice. He also blocked, I think I counted 11 shots before. I don't have that pulled up directly in front of me, but still putting his body on the line and a real Obviously, Victor Hedman's the captain, but a real leader on defense as well.
Hey, he's a former captain in New York, but if there's one thing that the Lightning do good, it's taking good players out of New York and making them better, and making them champions. No, I'm glad that we get to shed a little bit of the spotlight onto Ryan McDonough. He's such an unsung hero on this team and has been for a long time. He's been catching the ire of a little bit of some people. They don't think he's quite got it anymore. I disagree. I think he's still stable as a rock back there. He's everything that Chernak is advertised, but better. Just defensively strong. He had a really good hit in the Carolina game. I can't quite remember, but he flattened the guy pretty good up against the benches. And just again, shot blocking machine, defensive defenseman guru. Everything he does kind of turns to gold. Rarely ever gets caught out and makes a bad play. He seems like he's 2 steps ahead when it comes to defense, offense, whatever it might be. Just a great, like I already used the phrase, but consistent as the sun rising is Ryan McDonough.
Yeah, that is a great way to put it. And he's extremely consistent. He's also one of those guys that I forget which game it was. I think it must have been the Thursday game because I was at the rink for another one of my games, and seeing the TV from afar, I couldn't make out what number it was. But he has such a distinctive stride, especially when he's going, hunting like almost an icing, right? A puck dumped in the end in our own end zone, and he's not going to be as fast as anybody else, but he's just plain consistent.
Well, sorry to get back onto the Hedman hate train, but unlike Hedman, he's adapted his game. Like, he was the number 1 defenseman in New York. He was an offensive defenseman, or I guess you can call him just an all-around defenseman. But when he came to Tampa, that wasn't his job. It never was intended to be his job. Like, was traded here and has stayed here in 2 different terms for his defense. But again, he has been able to, in his older age, because he's 35, 36, maybe even
he's 36 now.
He's been able to transform his game, and that's what keeps you in the league. That's what kept him in the league and keeps you in the league. He's still, an all-star talent in my mind when it comes to straight up defense. And again, he's just the kind of guy that can adapt to any situation.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's a smart player. He's a smart guy. I mean, he takes like classes to further his, post hockey career during the off season. That's what he does for fun. I mean, he's somebody that, like you said, adapting your game is incredibly difficult because you have to fight instincts and really start to change and adapt. And it's a great way to extend your career, and he's obviously done that. So number 3 star, give it up for Ryan McDonough. And we'll move on to somebody that rejoined the team after being injured for a little bit for our number 2 star, a guy that, as soon as he came back in, he scored a goal, Gage Gonzalez. And he went, it was the last 3. He went 3 goals and an assist, was a +3 in a really rough week.
He has won me over so good. I think the world of this guy right now. But I really liked him last year, but this year, getting elevated to the top line, I think he fits in so very well there. He can play a little bit of everywhere, but I think he's best utilized with Kucherov and Point right now. I think he's still got a little bit of a defensive mind to his game, but man, a hell of a playmaker he is. Like, he's not Kucherov level or anything, but just that little play he made to Victor Hedman in that it was the Columbus game to get the first goal. I thought it was a bit crazy at first, but then it actually kind of worked. It was that drop pass, if you can call it that, to Victor Hedman. Ends up getting the tip on it for it being his goal. But I thought it was a really interesting, unique kind of play there. Bold play to do, but I really did like it because it worked. But even without all that, I really do like his game. I've liked him so much that I don't think Eureka has his buttons ready, but I picked him up on my fantasy team because he is playing so good right now. I need consistent players, just a point here, point there. He's been a point per game since I've had him. He's been a great pickup. Yeah. Oh, perfect, yo.
Yeah, a new platform, we have to improvise here.
But he has been that good that, on my 17-4 fantasy league, pretty good team right here, that I picked up Gage Gonzalez.
That's good on you, man, because that's definitely somebody that could be a sleeper, someone that You know what? Last season and even somewhat into this season, I thought he was going to be a guy that would fizzle out. Not quite like Geeky because, Geeky's I thought his shortcomings are a little bit more apparent because Gage has a lot of the small things in his game that you could see he's playing at an upper level. But I kind of thought he would be more, and don't think that this is a disrespect, but more like Yanni Gord, where he would peak. But he, like Yanni Gord's not a top line guy. He is. How would I describe Yanni Gord? Almost like if a Chihuahua bred with a pit bull, just someone that's going to nip at your heels, but actually it might really hurt.
He's got the pit bull head, but the Chihuahua body.
That's that's it. He just runs and just dives in there. Where Gage is putting some of these plays together that like you said, that little. It's hard to describe that play if you didn't see it. He got a pass to him, cross-ice pass to him, and he just kind of like bumped it backwards. That means he saw that there was a guy behind him too. That's really advanced ice awareness, especially on an entry, and then got straight into position to be able to tip the shot from Hedman in. He's coming along really, really well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've been a huge fan of his game. The only thing that I can really, detract from him is he does take a couple of silly penalties. It's from working pretty hard, but it does seem like he ends up in the box a good bit on some minors. But other than that, he is really transforming into a really good top-line player.
I think Lisa has a comment here as well with I think it was probably talking about Yanni Gord, annoying little gnat that bugs the hell out of you. Yeah. Except for he does a little bit of damage too, right? Like he can actually separate you from the puck.
More like a mosquito than a gnat.
There's got to be something there, and I'll have to think on it for next week. How to describe Yanni Gord beyond just being a gnat or a chihuahua with a pit bull head. So moving on from Gage for our second star of the week, we'll go to our first star of the week. Again, a little bit of a different choice from what we usually go for, but Charles Edward Dastu for our number one star of the week. He ended up also being a net zero. He ended up having a goal, which we never actually really talked about. It was a sweet goal against Carolina where he jumped in on the rush and was able to put home basically a backdoor play where, puck came across on the rush across the crease and he was able to bury it. Love to see this guy get excited. He's someone that plays pretty hard nosed. Like you can tell when Chucky gets angry. And our first star of the week for especially being adaptive in the role that he's had, which hasn't been an easy one.
There's a difference between Charles Edward Dastu and Chucky Dastu. It's like Walter White and Heisenberg or something, but
it's pretty fair.
Yeah. Brian Engblom, he's a huge fan of Dastu, and I do love him. I think he's a great puck mover and just a great defenseman all around. Still a little shaky on the defensive aspect of everything, but man, just the way he stepped up from out of nowhere, really, like not even the AHL, but I think he was in the ECHL and a couple of European pro leagues as well to really grind his way through the system and play a consistent role in the NHL. You can argue, he's not even the seventh defenseman. He might be the sixth defenseman, when everybody's healthy. He might even be a little higher up in the lineup. He's a really good find from the Lightning. And
it's a guy that I definitely slept on.
Absolutely. There was, and again, came out of nowhere. It's something that the Lightning just love doing is picking out a defenseman from Syracuse, from Orlando even, to just play perfect in his first season. I hope he doesn't fall victim to the Nick Perbix or Emil Lilleberg where, you play great and then you kind of take a step back your next season. But the way that this guy produces on the offensive side of the puck.
How dare you, by the way? How dare you invoke the name of Emil Lilleberg with anything other than praise? I understood the Perbix one and I had to sit there and think about it, but sir, how dare you?
I'm sorry. He was playing a lot better this year, but he got injured. I can't say it's been a good year for Lilleberg.
TBD, To be
All right.
determined.
Fine. Okay, but at least the Nick Perbix, I hope it's not a flash in the pan like his first year, because he was amazing his first year, and then he turned into what we all know. He's hated in Nashville right now too, from what I see. People aren't a huge fan of him, but at least with Destu, sticking on topic, I don't think that's going to be the case. Again, just the way that he produces the goals and the points that he does. He moves so very well with his, he likes to do that power skating, the Mohawks kind of, whatever it might be. I love the way he skates, moves the puck, and the physicality he brings to it. Just like we were talking about earlier, if there's a scrum, if there's something going on, you can expect him to be in the middle of it. He does not take any crap from anybody. So I do love me some Chucky.
Yeah, I mean, literally, if you want to call him Charles Overdestu for the majority of his play, nice and formal, like you see when he goes Chucky, it's a whole different guy. Like he looks different. He presents himself different. When someone gets in his face, it's a different guy for sure. This season he's got 4 goals and 16 assists for 20 points over 53 games played. Those are his first 53 games in the NHL. Before that, he played he played in like the Swiss Liga league.
Just a damn good league.
It is a good league. It's a very good league. For European hockey, it's I think the number 1 league, if I'm not mistaken, if not number 2.
KHL, if you count that. I know that's Russian.
Well, it's saying like European. I mean, I guess technically, however you want to break it down, fine. It's still good. It's still a very good league. And then before that, he's basically only played a total of, quick math, 14, 28, 31 games in the AHL total over his career. He's 27 years old, mind you.
Wow.
And then ECHL and Quebec Major Juniors is really, I mean, he's got another, I don't know, almost 100 games in the ECHL. So he is somebody that pretty much just developed out of that Swiss league and then is playing big minutes here. And we've had a whole bunch of defensemen from the Syracuse Crunch come up and down, especially over the past 2 years, and he's stuck.
He did if he's following his career trajectory as well, like he's won, Defenseman of the Year awards in the ECHL, in the Swiss League. Maybe there's a Norris Trophy, a couple of years away for him. Obviously, that's a far stretch, but I hope he just follows that trajectory of being an elite defenseman, offensive defenseman at any level, every level that he plays at. So I'm glad he probably finally made it on this list. I'm not sure if we've had him before.
I don't think we have. Add it to his list of achievements in his career, making the number 1 star for RBLR Lightning hockey. He's getting recognized, though. He's definitely getting recognized. Beverly has a comment to throw up here. He received Defenseman of the Year 2 or 3 times, and he was never drafted. And doing a heck of a job right now. All right. What we have left is really just to look at the schedule ahead, which again, it's pretty basic and standard. Everything's a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday for the next couple of weeks, except for it's a West Coast road trip, meaning those glorious 10 p.m. start times, starting off in Seattle against the Kraken, then Vancouver, then the Oilers, and finishing up with Calgary.
Don't tell me they're all like 10 o'clock starts.
10. Oh, we get the early 8 p.m. one on Sunday.
Oh, God. Well, I'm going to try my best.
They do replay them at 8 a.m. on the spot on Scripps Sports.
I don't know, because I'm a young guy. I don't know if I can wake up in the morning, not open Instagram, see the final score or whatever it is, and then
discipline.
I'm not sure if I could do it. I'd love to try it, but
it's called show prep and professionalism, Matt.
Yeah, and I want to watch it live so I can be angry live.
Oh, you're gonna stay up? See, I have the opposite problem. It's gonna end up being so late that I'm gonna forget half of it.
Fair enough, but at least as far as these teams go, forgetting the time, you've got some pretty weak teams in there. Seattle, they don't know what they are. Vancouver, they're gunning for Gavin McKenna. Edmonton also kind of don't know what they are. I think Leon Draisaitl, he might be out a couple games, and he's kind of a lightning killer, it seems. He had to be helped off the ice last game, 2 games ago.
I'm glad you're up
who's
to
the
date with that. I didn't see that yet.
And who's the fourth one? Calgary.
Agree.
I'm pretty sure I got the order wrong, but still.
Yeah, well, I mean, Calgary and Vancouver are in the absolute bottom of the West.
Yes. So yeah, I love saying
Although
this
Vancouver, geez, they only have 48 points on the season. I didn't realize they're 20 and they're basically 20 and 38.
Jeez, man, they need McKenna. But I love saying this because it always does bite me. There's no reason you shouldn't win all four of these, and there's no better time to do it right now. Again, Edmonton, they're kind of faltering. Calgary, they're terrible. Seattle, they can always be a random team, but we've got a really good record against Seattle. I'd like to keep it that way. Interesting schedule we got going up really late in the season for the West Coast, like West Canada road trip.
Yeah.
Like I remember they did the California road trip a couple months ago, and I was grateful. All those starts were like 5 o'clock.
Like our time, 5 o'clock our time. They're crazy times for being a West Coast trip.
Why can't these teams acquiesce to us East Coasters? Please. I would love that of you. But
and they'd probably say the same thing that it's 4 o'clock and your games are starting. I'm still I'm in California. I still have 3 hours worth of commute before I get home.
Yeah, your choice for living in California.
Well, looking at the standings, there's one other thing I do want to point out. So obviously we've got, the Kraken should be motivated. The Oilers should be motivated because they're both pretty much right there on the cusp for wild card spots. But let me look back at this schedule. What did I do with our schedule here? So that's Seattle's the first game, so that should be a tough team, but they're not nearly as good as Carolina. Get that one going, get some momentum, blow through the rest of them. Looking at the rest of the teams, though, in the standings, the two teams that were at the top of the East at the start of the season, like the first 10 or 15 games, are at the absolute basement with New Jersey Devils and Florida Rangers. The Rangers got off to a really good start because they had all those away games, and they were like untouchable on the road. They couldn't win anything at home. They're still horrible at home. They've won 9 games at home and lost 24.
Oh, God.
You know how expensive those tickets are to go to Madison Square Garden and watch a team lose that badly?
I think they've drastically reduced the ticket prices too. I think the PWHL games are now more expensive at Madison Square Garden than Rangers games. And I think that's really funny. Again, the New York Rangers tickets are cheaper than the New York Sirens, I think it is, which is cool. Great for women's hockey. Hilarious for the Rangers. So you called them the Florida Rangers. And
did I say Florida Rangers? I'm sorry, because I was looking at the Panthers, who are at number 8.
Yeah, look.
Good call out. Because, so I was looking at Florida Rangers. So I was reading while talking, not something that I'm, I fall over if I'm trying to chew gum and walk at the same time.
Hey, you did the whole show with me upside down, so.
You're still upside down. I swear to God. Actually, what I'm going to do is right this moment, I'm going to take a screenshot. So maybe Eureka can put it on our on our Instagram. Hey, give a nice little. There we go. I'm going to send that over to Eureka of you being upside down for me. And I got through it. But the Florida Panthers also being in the basement, basically the same number of points as the New Jersey Devils. Have you noticed how freaking quiet it's gotten on X since they've started sucking?
Who, the Rangers or the Devils?
The Panthers.
Oh yeah. No,
God.
It's funny. Those guys have completely, tucked their tails between their legs. They say, well, we've played so many games. That same thing happened to the Lightning. We never really had a fall off like that.
No, we went to the Stanley Cup a third year.
I mean, to be fair, they went to the Stanley Cup, lost, and then went back-to-back championships.
Yeah,
so they did the same thing in reverse order. But the thing is, we never missed the playoffs, in this championship span. We were never competing for the first overall pick in this dynasty span. That's fun. I think they would probably have to be the first team in maybe professional sports history to go back-to-back championships and then miss the playoffs the consecutive year. That would be funny.
And they have a lot of the same players too. It's not like they lost, half their roster by any means. They just I don't know. They just they suck.
They did lose a lot of,
and I dislike them.
Me too. They did lose a lot of man games, but at the same time, Lightning did too. Look where we are. They're doing pretty darn good. So, what's your excuse? Of equally, important players.
I just want to, reiterate again. I think it's hilarious that all of a sudden, all the noisy people on Twitter silenced. Well, I think that's about all that we have, unless you have anything that you wanted to add before we wrap up the show.
No, I think that was a great way to end the show. It was a little Panthers hate.
Go Bolts. Panthers suck. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All those things definitely help us with the show as well, get further reach, which is also fun to get more people in the chat. Love seeing all the comments. Appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Thank you, guys. Go Bolts.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.